But also, the Roman Empire was not peaceful for 200 years, nor were its territories. And he talks about the world. Rome wasn't the world. Like, it just really, really wasn't. And I'm sure if you could ask most Romans who lived during that time, is this the whole world? They'd say no. Like, they're constantly at war with other powers. They're at war with peoples in the Middle East and Africa and Persians. There is really no semblance of world peace under Augustus or his successors, because the Roman Empire, like many empires, just kept expanding its territories, putting down revolts with people who had legit grievances against it. Yeah, there wasn't really much peace in the Roman Empire. If you're talking about like maybe there was some relative peace in like Rome and the central territories, then whatever. But it's not a good thing with someone with this amount of power to be idolizing a lot of the figures loads of fascists throughout history have idolized and acting like, oh yeah, if I could establish peace for 200 years, even though there's some downsides, wouldn't I want to do it? And what does a libertarian's peace look like? I mean, like I said, if we're relating this to Dune, like I like to relate everything to Dune, it looks like Leto II in The God Emperor of Dune. So yeah, red flag there, but he has seemingly abandoned the haircut. So this year, he went to Japan. Now, I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg has ever been to Japan before. Like, he probably has. But let's just pretend, for the sake of a story, he hasn't. And he went to Japan for the first time, and like so many Westerners, we all think it's the best place ever. And I count myself among that. Like, Tokyo is one of my favorite places I've ever been in my life. I wouldn't call it like life-changing, but I did really enjoy my time there. But when Mark Zuckerberg went to Japan, he literally went and started learning how to make katanas and started practicing with them. And then he posted this picture, which went pretty viral. He's wearing like a coat, which I don't think anyone's seen him wear before. He's got sunglasses on, he's letting his hair grow out a bit, and he's eating a burger in a Japanese McDonald's. And he says, Japanese McDonald's, 10 out of 10. Give these guys a Michelin star. Now, we're seeing the new era of Mark Zuckerberg, but I will say, Japanese McDonald's is nothing special. If we're talking about Korean McDonald's, we're having another conversation. If we're talking about Vietnamese McDonald's in the socialist utopia of Vietnam, we are having a Michelin star conversation, because Vietnamese McDonald's is insanely good, but mainly for its coffee and it's like cake and stuff, right? Because I use Vietnamese coffee, which is by far the best coffee in the world. If you haven't tried it, please go get some right now. So I would say, as someone who's had Korean, Japanese, and Thai McDonald's when I went traveling around Asia just to see what they were like, Japanese McDonald's like ranks lowest among them because the menu variety is really poor. It really is similar to British or American McDonald's, where at least in Korea they have some Korean specific stuff, and in Vietnam have a nice bit of variety, where in Thailand they have loads of like more like Asian style cuisine, like you can get rice and like chicken on the bone in Thai McDonald's. It's clear Japan had changed Mark Zuckerberg. And then throughout the months, we see him rehabbing his ACL. And then he's spotted at like a UFC event. And look at what he's wearing here. He's got his new gold chain, an oversized white t-shirt. Long gone is the Caesar haircut. And he's better dressed. And that's the impact Japan has on anyone. Even some egomaniac billionaire was humbled by his visit to Japan. And then you probably saw this video where, again, he's wearing a gold chain, black oversized tee, hair grown out. A lot of people have been like photoshopping this, giving him a beard. And again, yeah, he looks better. And you see him with Green Day wearing like a hoodie. I don't even want to know how much that hoodie costs, despite the fact it looking very normal. And then recently he's at an event showing off some of his new devices that I don't care about. And he's wearing oversized tee, has like Latin inscription on it. And again, hair is grown out. So we're entering the new era of Zuckerberg, where he is more style conscious and trying to deliberately make himself out to be a normal human being, or be a bit of like a meme, be goofy. Like we saw that 4th of July post where he's surfing with an American flag, and I guess he's just trying to say like, oh yeah, I'm athletic, I have skill, I'm funny, and I'm normal, and I'm having my glow up era. And honestly, sadly, it's working, because especially when you got someone like Elon Musk going full on fascist and having like insane meltdowns while he's on Twitter 24/7, right? And just embarrassing himself every single day. Like, how many alt accounts on Twitter does he have, which all praise him all the time? It's so sad. And then you have Mark Zuckerberg looking like he's living his best life on his ranch in Hawaii, surfing around and going to UFC events with his new drip, right? And going to Japan, learning to make katanas. Seems like he's just enjoying the billionaire lifestyle, making him more an aspirational figure. Like, do you want to be like this guy? But don't forget he's evil. And I say that because I was actually going to make a whole video on this ages ago, and I guess I forgot. So I'm going to talk about Puerto Rico and Hawaii being colonized by tech bros. So there's loads of articles about the extent of this, but Mark Zuckerberg has been buying up loads and loads of land in Hawaii. Obviously, Hawaii is a US state, even though it's so far away from the US, has like nothing to do with the landmass there. But just like the rest of the US, it is built on stolen native land. And some of the poorest people in Hawaii itself are native Hawaiians who have had their land poisoned and stolen by the US government. It's always such a big red flag to me, people who go on holiday to Hawaii, like knowing all the problems just the colonization of Hawaii has caused. But Mark Zuckerberg is the face of tech colonialism in Hawaii. And this article back in 2021, it's gotten way worse, by the way, all the land he owns, but I just thought this one was enlightening. So Mark Zuckerberg adds 110 acres to controversial 1,500 acre Hawaii estate, dropping $17 million for the purchase. His recent purchase comes after two previous acquisitions, a $100 million 750 acre purchase made in late 2014 and a $53 million 600 acre purchase made in March that included a public beach and a working cattle ranch. Zuckerberg's massive estate has been met with criticism and controversy. In 2016, he angered his neighbors when he constructed a 6-foot stone wall across his property that blocked easy access to the beach in an attempt to decrease highway and road noise. Then in early 2017, Zuckerberg's lawyers filed lawsuits against hundreds of local Hawaiians who may own an interest in small pockets within his estate boundaries. The quiet title suits are used to clarify the often complicated history of land ownership in the state and can often force owners to auction their land. In certain cases, defendants are even required to pay the legal fees of the plaintiff, in this case, the world's 5th richest man. This is the face of neocolonialism, said Kapua Sproat, a law professor at the University of Hawaii. Even though a forced sale may not physically displace people, it's the last nail in the coffin of separating us from the land. For us native Hawaiians, the land is an ancestor, it's a grandparent, you just don't sell your grandmother. Zuckerberg eventually dropped the suit, saying that he and his wife wanted to make this right and talk with the community and find a better approach. And the pockets of land were eventually sold at an auction. If you actually read about all the land he owns in Hawaii, it's actually insane, and what he's doing on there is pure, like, James Bond villain shit. Do not buy into Zuck's new image, and I hope no one defends like neo-colonialism in Hawaii. Just like with America, just because time has passed doesn't mean it's suddenly like okay to go and develop on remaining native lands or force them off their lands. Like we're seeing it in Palestine right now, what Israel are doing and what settlers are doing. That is what happened in America. That's what happened in Hawaii. And just because time has passed doesn't mean like you should normalize this stuff, because I don't know, you like going on holiday to Hawaii and propping up this system that like hurts so many Hawaiians today and enables people like Zuckerberg. But yeah, he very much still is a supervillain, and that's before even talking about Facebook's terrible impact on the world, him not facing really any consequences. Mark Zuckerberg's company should not be allowed to own Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp altogether. It shouldn't be allowed, it should be broken up, things should be nationalized in my opinion. But yeah, this guy isn't really any better than Elon. It's just that personally he's more stable than Elon, but they're both, you know, in my opinion, very evil people. Now, Mark Zuckerberg got a good reputation with more liberals because he and his wife basically promised, like Bill Gates, to give away most of their wealth, to do loads of really good charitable causes through their foundation. But what is so funny about this is although Bill Gates is quite private in terms of like his politics, it's funny reading all this where Mark Zuckerberg basically has been butthurt that he's been brought up in front of Congress a couple of times and been grilled. And that's just the extent of it, really. He hasn't really been punished for any of the bad stuff he's done. But this article came out at the end of last month, and it spawned loads of articles commentating on it. I want to read some of it for you today. So by Theodore Schleifer and Mike Isaac at the New York Times, Mark Zuckerberg is done with politics. And it just goes through like his political evolution, so bear with me, but I thought it was interesting. So it was only a little more than a decade ago that Zuckerberg had few qualms about airing his politics. Earnest and optimistic, perhaps naively so, he rushed onto the national stage to discuss issues he cared about: immigration, social justice, inequality, democracy. He penned columns in national newspapers espousing his views, spun up foundations and philanthropic efforts, and hired hundreds of people to put his vast riches to work on his political goals. This was Zuckerberg in his 20s. Zuckerberg in his 40s is very different. In conversations over the past few years with friends, colleagues, and advisors, Zuckerberg has expressed cynicism about politics after years of bad experiences in Washington. He and others at the top of Meta, the parent company of Facebook, believe that both parties loathe technology and that trying to continue engaging with political causes would only draw further scrutiny to their company. As recently as June at the Allen and Company conference, the summer camp for billionaires in Sun Valley, Idaho, there's a good House of Cards episode about this. Mr. Zuckerberg complained to multiple people about the blowback to Meta that came from the more politically touchy aspects of his philanthropic efforts, and he regretted hiring employees at his charity who tried to push him further to the left on some causes. In short, he was over it. His preference, according to more than a dozen friends, has been to wash his hands of it all. In public, he declines to engage with Washington, except when necessary. In private, he has stopped supporting programs at his philanthropy that could be perceived as partisan, and he's tamped down employee activism at Meta. He's also spoken to Donald Trump in one-on-one telephone calls twice over the summer, a move that some have characterized as an attempt to repair a long-strained relationship. Privately, Zuckerberg now considers his personal politics to be more libertarian. That includes a hostility to regulation that restricts business, an embrace of free markets and globalism, an openness to social justice reforms, but only if that stops short of what he considers far-left progressivism. And Zuckerberg and his wife, Dr. Priscilla Chan, have been privately aghast about what they see as a rise in anti-Semitism on college campuses, including at Harvard. Which, what they actually mean is, they're aghast at, students not being okay with Israel and everything they're doing to Gaza right now, and now Lebanon. And we know Zuckerberg supports Israel, so that's what they're actually mad about. They might see it as some form of anti-Semitism, like many of them do. But we all know most of these protests have absolutely nothing to do with anti-Jewish sentiment. Going on to the company, inside Meta, Zuckerberg and his team have clamped down on politics. In late 2022, Lori Gola, Meta's head of human resources, introduced a new internal policy called Community Engagement Expectations, according to a copy of the memo of the New York Times. It forbade employees from raising in the workplace issues like racial justice movements and wars. Andrew Bosworth, Meta's chief technology officer, championed the policy and was supported by Zuckerberg. Instead of publicly engaging with Washington, Zuckerberg is repairing relationships behind the scenes. After the Zuckerbucks criticism, Zuckerberg hired Brian Baker, a prominent Republican strategist, to improve his positioning with right-wing media and Republican officials. In the lead-up to November's election, Mr. Baker has emphasized to Mr. Trump and his top aides that Zuckerberg has no plans to make similar donations to previous elections in supporting of democratic causes. It always amazes me how fragile the ego of some of the most powerful men in the world are. How much people like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk kind of are idealistic when they're younger and then turn into fascists when they enter their 40s and 50s, because leftists are mean to them and they don't like being held accountable, like him talking about deregulation, the government basically hating technology. And obviously the US government is one of the worst governments in the entire world, of the most evil nation state in the entire world, in my opinion. At the same time, there are still some checks and balances on people like Mark Zuckerberg, which should be in place, and it's just so telling. They're like, oh my god, the government hates technology because it won't let me do what I absolutely want 24/7, even though it lets me do what I want most of the time. And I've never been held accountable for any of the bad things I've done. He's still mad about that because they just want absolute power. That's why the Roman Emperor thing is so concerning. And like many of us have always said, capitalists, even if they are more liberally inclined, will always side with fascists when times get hard, when there is political uncertainty, when the country is divided, when there are more radical elements forming in terms of the left wing who oppose oppose the status quo and oppose the rise of fascism, capitalists get jumpy and they're like, who will help me maintain my power? Who will keep me in the money the most? Oh, it's the Republicans this time. I'll put my money into them. And even with the Democrats, like, I won't be surprised if he has very nice things to say about Kamala Harris if she wins the election, because the Overton window shifted so much. Basically, the whole election is being run on who could be the biggest fascist. Like, all this stuff about immigration and the border, who can support Israel the most. You see the vice president debate the other day? Like, a lot of the shit they're saying is trying to outdo each other on, oh yeah, who's the most anti-migrant and who's the most pro-Israel? It's just insane. So Zuckerberg might feel like some Democrats bow down to the left, but it's pretty clear they don't. So he's just going to go whichever way the wind blows, and he might be personally now a libertarian because he's creating like his own fucking settlement in Hawaii that's absolutely huge, and he doesn't want anyone putting laws on it, like many billionaires have attempted similar things in the past, especially on ranches in America. So that's it for the video. Don't be fooled by old Zuck's rebrand. It might put a more human face on the android that is Zuckerberg, but yeah, he's getting worse, and he was already really bad, so just keep that in mind. That's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you made it this far, thank you for watching.
Can tell? You know that scene in The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob steps on a bunch of rakes? That's what Elon's handling of Twitter has been like so far, except that he deliberately stepped on all of the rakes because he thought he'd be smart enough to not get hit by them. Starting around January, Elon Musk starts buying Twitter stock, lots of it. He looks at this enormous, failing company, which in the past 10 years has only posted an annual profit twice, and by March, became the single largest shareholder. On April 4th, Musk discloses his stake in the company, and Twitter's stock price jumps by 27% as a result. And we can use this as a gauge of the strength of his reputation at this point. Merely by being involved in Twitter, Twitter is perceived by the financial class as far more valuable. On April 5th, Twitter announces Musk will join its board of directors. Internally, employees are freaking out that Musk might come along and fuck up the whole company. We in the biz call that foreshadowing. Many are wondering if this is even real or just memes, which is not a typical thing to worry about in a multi-billion-dollar corporate buyout. The New York Times reports, Twitter has always suffered more than its fair share of dysfunction, said Jason Goldman, who is on Twitter's founding team and served on its board of directors in the past. But at least we weren't being actively trolled by prospective board members using the product we created. On April 10th, Twitter announced, actually, never mind. Forget all of that. Elon Musk is not going to join the board of directors. Turns out he didn't want to. So just within 5 days, he had reversed course on the thing he spent several billion dollars to do. To explain his reasoning, Musk tweeted a meme that he was going goblin mode epic. This tweet has since been deleted. This will become a pattern moving forward. Elon desperately wants the approval of Twitter shitposters, so he throws together like 2005-ass impact font memes, and he's just so XD random, and sometimes he just steals someone else's meme and crops out their username so they don't get any credit. It does seem like a great deal of his motivation stems from wanting to impress people on Twitter, which is quite literally the most pathetic motivation a human being can have. On April 14th, Musk offers to buy Twitter for $43 billion, roughly 4 times the projected annual cost to end global hunger by 2030, according to a 2016 report from the International Institute for Sustainable Development. Musk's stated reasoning for buying the website are twofold. Firstly, he claims to want to protect free speech on the platform. He claims that he is a free speech absolutist, and as we will see, no, he's not. For example, later when he purchases Twitter, he will routinely fire anyone who criticizes him, or just, anyone he feels like. So his real issue is what he claims is a left-wing bias in Twitter moderation, which is, horseshit. Secondly, he claims to want to remove the bots and spam accounts from the website. And I don't know why that would matter to him or anyone, but it does, it seems. All websites have spam and bots, but Elon is very upset that Twitter has them for some specific reason. That same day, fellow parasite Jeff Bezos suggested that Elon convert a portion of Twitter's San Francisco HQ into a homeless shelter. Elon tweeted a poll on Twitter asking his followers whether he should just make this whole thing a homeless shelter because no one goes into the office anyway. Musk insisted he was being completely serious, and the tweet has since been deleted. In case you're tempted to think for even a second that Musk gives even a single solitary shit about the unhoused, it seems this particular idea is motivated more by spite. As we will see, Elon seems to have a particular dislike for Twitter's work-from-home policy, instated during the beginning of the enormous plague currently killing millions of people he has routinely downplayed and tweeted misinformation about. Which shouldn't be surprising, given that he vigorously campaigned to have a Tesla factory reopened before it was legal for them to do so in Alameda County. Predictably, this resulted in hundreds of cases of COVID-19 being reported at that plant. He just fucking hates work-from-home policies in general. I'm not really sure why. I think just because it provides any sort of comfort to workers. On April 15th, Twitter instituted a poison pill provision that would be triggered if any shareholder holds 15% or more of the shares. From what I understand, which is not a lot, that's business boy talk designed to make Elon put up or shut up. On April 25th, Twitter accepts Elon's bid, which is of course provisional on the basis that he can actually raise the funds to do it. Also, in the event that for whatever reason either party fails to complete the deal, a $1 billion cancellation fee is owed to the other party, which would become relevant later if, say, one party tried to back out on really spurious grounds. We in the biz call that foreshadowing. Over the next few days, Musk sells $8.5 billion of Tesla stock. Over the next few weeks, he acquires $46 billion in commitments from, like, I don't know, random crypto guys and hedge funds or whatever. And he does so by claiming he'll quintuple Twitter's revenue by 2028, using such cutting-edge business strategies as somehow getting 69 million people epic, to subscribe to Twitter Blue by 2025 at a price point of $3 a month. Twitter Blue is a service that at the time allowed you to not get ads on Twitter and threw in some like subscriptions to newspapers and shit. He gets rid of both of those features when he takes over. He also planned to somehow bring Twitter's payment service, which I did not know existed, from a projected 12 million in 2023 to 1.3 billion in 2028. He also claims to want to reduce Twitter's reliance on advertising. And as the story develops, we'll check back in on how these goals are progressing. On May 13th, Musk tweets that his purchase of Twitter is on hold, pending an investigation into the amount of bots and fake accounts on the site, which Twitter estimated at less than 5%. Now, this is strange for two reasons. Firstly, one of Elon Musk's stated motivations for buying the site in the first place was to get rid of the bots and spam accounts, so it does seem like if there's more of them than he thought, that would be all the more reason for him to buy it. And secondly, Twitter didn't hide the information from him at all. If indeed he had not known about this calculation or truly had not believed it, the time to work out that understanding would have been before agreeing to buy it. 2 hours later, he reaffirmed his commitment to the acquisition in a follow-up tweet. On May 16th, Twitter CEO detailed a long thread about Twitter's methodology with regards to spam and bot accounts, to which Musk responded with an epic poop emoji. On May 17th, Musk claims that Twitter most likely has at least 20% or more fake or spam accounts, which is pretty big if true. I mean, that's 4 times the amount that Twitter claims. Elon arrived at this figure and a number of other more outlandish figures, depending on who he's talking to, using a tool called Botometer, a free public tool developed at Indiana University, which essentially plugs into Twitter's public API of available tweets and attempts to determine how likely each account tweeting is to be a bot on a scale of 1 to 5. According to one of Botometer's devs, the tool does not show whether an account is fake or spam, nor does it attempt to make any other judgment about the account's intent. Instead, it shows how likely an account is to be automated or managed using software, using various considerations such as the time of day it tweets or whether it's self-declared to be a bot. Twitter responded that it would actually be impossible to calculate the amount of bots using this methodology, and without sufficient access to private Twitter data. Botometer, for example, can only assess accounts that tweet and not accounts which don't actively post anything. And also, that Botometer had earlier that year designated Musk himself to be likely a bot. It doesn't anymore, it's worth pointing out, but they say it did at one point. Essentially, Elon is basing his attempt to back out of a $43 billion business deal, contesting the internal findings of the company that he is attempting to buy based on an estimate from a free tool he found online and did not consult with anyone involved in the making of, who are quite clear that it should not be used to create these kind of estimates. As far as I can tell, that is the entire basis for his claim that Twitter's activity is most likely 20% or more generated by bots or spam. On May 26th, Twitter shareholders brought forth a class action lawsuit against Musk, claiming that he deliberately manipulated the company's stock prices. CNBC reports that during this period between Musk's acquisition bid and this lawsuit being launched, Twitter's stock had dropped 12%. Note also that Tesla stock, which most of Elon Musk's personal fortune is tied up in, had dropped more than 40%. Some of that was due to just a general dip in the market, but a lot of it was because he was acting like such a dipshit. The lawsuit alleged that Musk had broken several laws, including that, quote, Musk had financially benefited by delaying required disclosures about his stake in Twitter and by temporarily concealing his plan in early April to become a board member at the social network. Musk also snapped up shares in Twitter, the complaint says, while he knew insider information about the company based on private conversations with board members and executives, including former CEO Jack Dorsey, a longtime friend of Musk's. The proposed lawsuit also contends that Musk broke California laws by sowing doubt about whether he would complete the deal after signing the contract to buy it. The shareholders' complaint added that his gripes about bots were part of a scheme to negotiate a better price or kill the deal. Musk proceeded to make statements, send tweets, and engage in conduct designed to create doubt about the deal and drive Twitter stock down substantially in order to create leverage that Musk hoped to use to either back out of the purchase or to renegotiate the price. So essentially, they're arguing that Elon is deliberately sowing misinformation about the company in order to drive down its stock prices so that he can get a better price when he goes to buy the site, which wouldn't be all that surprising given that Elon has used Twitter specifically to deliberately deflate stock prices in the past. It also seems like they're insinuating some insider trading here, which is very funny to me because it implies this ruinous business deal was made with an unfair advantage on Elon Musk's part. They're saying he not only had insider knowledge that he shouldn't have had, but also acted illegally and unethically to defraud the company of money. And given all of these things, this is the result. This incredibly disastrous thing for him. Just a powerful businessman. On July 8th, Elon announced that he was terminating the deal, claiming that Twitter had not agreed to his request to share information about user data and had fired top executives in breach of a provision in their agreement. Twitter's chairman, Brett Taylor, responded that Twitter intended to enforce the deal at the agreed-upon price. On July 12th, they did that, and they sued Elon to force him to complete the purchase. On July 19th, Judge Chancellor Kathleen St. Jude McCormick, granted Twitter's request for an expedited trial. Musk's team had argued for a delayed trial, which, the complaint is that they're trying to drive down the stock prices. Does seem like it would be in line with that, because the longer the trial goes, the more chaos there's going to be, the lower the stock price goes. AP News reports, Twitter argues that Musk's reasons for backing out are just a cover for buyer's remorse after agreeing to pay 38% above Twitter's stock price shortly before the stock market stumbled, and shares of the electric car maker Tesla, where most of Musk's personal wealth resides, lost more than $100 billion of their value. Just a powerful business mind. After months of back and forth subpoenas, on October 4th, Musk agreed to buy the site at the agreed upon price. Twitter didn't have to agree to shit. So if these allegations are true, that he was attempting to sabotage Twitter's stock prices, and given that he folded like a paper airplane in court, I'll leave that up to you to decide, what he has done here is agree to buy something for much more than it's worth, panic, illegally manipulate its value to negotiate for a better deal, only to be forced to buy the product he has made less valuable in the process, which, allegedly, would make him a profoundly bad businessman. On October 26th, Elon posted a frankly epic video on Twitter saying, "Entering Twitter HQ, let that sink in." Holding a sink. He's so fucking funny is the thing. He later said, meeting a lot of cool people at Twitter. Just met a lot of cool people that he likes, and I bet will treat very well. Me in the biz, all that foreshadowing. And finally, on October 28th, Musk closes the deal to buy Twitter. So everything we have seen so far, all of the ways he has already fucked this up, happened before he owned the goddamn website. Buckle up now, because from this point forward, shit is about to go nuts. Elon's first act as chief twit was firing a bunch of top executives, including the CEO. Comedy is then made legal on Twitter, and at first, I didn't know what he meant by that, because you'd think it's some kind of statement about how PC culture wouldn't be censoring comedy anymore. But also, he said the same day that Twitter wasn't going to make any changes to content moderation until he had time to build a diverse panel of experts to look it over. But, to his credit, I have to admit, Twitter has been very funny ever since he took it over. It's been extremely funny. Take, for example, the very next thing that he tweeted. Twitter's commitment to brand safety is unchanged. You'll understand why that's funny later. Foreshadow. Within 12 hours of the purchase, use of the N-word on Twitter shot up 500%. In fairness, a follow-up report actually found that Twitter's response to this was better than it had been in the past, a damning indictment of Twitter's uneven history of dealing with these types of hate raids. So I guess you could say what Elon's Twitter is doing is actually censoring hate speech more aggressively. Pretty strange for a self-identified free speech absolutist. It's almost like Twitter's content moderation was never actually ideologically motivated, but rather the inescapable result of trying to run a social media platform for a profit. Wonder if that'll be relevant at all. A number of high-profile advertisers immediately pull ads from Twitter, including GM, Pfizer, and Mondelez. In a roundabout kind of way, I suppose, he has reduced Twitter's dependency on advertisers. He just hasn't replaced it with a new source of revenue at all. On October 29th, word gets out that Elon's new plan to get some revenue for Twitter is to bump up the price of Twitter Blue to $20 a month from $4.99 a month and include blue tick verification with the subscription. The blue tick is meant to signify that the person holding it is a notable public figure. Having it means they've been verified to be who they claim to be. It's meant to allow people like celebrities and politicians or brands to post on Twitter without the fear that they'll be impersonated and defamed. So the first question on everyone's mind is, well, how do you prevent people from being impersonated and defamed? Musk is cagey about the details, instead choosing to focus on how this will somehow act as some sort of power balancing effect and how it will democratize journalism and empower people, provided that they pay him. Also that day, Elon has some Tesla engineers review Twitter's code base, and this part is going to sound like I'm making it up, like I'm making a joke about him. But this is true. He requested that some of Twitter's engineers print off code they've written in the last 2 months for him to read on paper. And there are many reasons why that request makes no sense. That's just not how computers work. Anyone who is remotely familiar with modern computer programming would know that you could just log on to GitHub for that information. But even if you stopped programming decades ago, like Musk did probably, printing computer code to read on paper is gibberish. That would be like trying to read a novel with all of the words in alphabetical order. It's nonsense. That doesn't mean anything. On October 31st, Musk responds to Stephen King complaining about the proposed cost of Twitter Blue by suggesting a new price point of $8 a month. And that becomes the new price point going forward, seemingly arbitrarily. Mashable calculated that at this price point, to meet his goal of half of Twitter's revenue coming from Twitter Blue subscriptions, Musk would need 26 million users a month to sign up for the service, which is 10% of Twitter's user base. Just a genius business mind is the thing. On November 4th, Twitter laid off roughly half of the very cool people that Elon had met when he visited Twitter. As a result, several employees file a class action lawsuit accusing Twitter of violating federal labor law for not giving them the required 60 days notice. Musk disputes this, claiming the employees were given 3 months of severance in lieu of notice, and that Twitter had to lay people off because it was hemorrhaging $4 million a day, a thing nobody made him admit. He placed the blame squarely on advertisers fleeing the site en masse due to fears about changes to Twitter's content moderation policy. And it should be noted that among the thousands of people laid off were most of, if not the entire, content moderation team, leaving only 15 people with access to content moderation tools. And when I say that, I don't mean 15 dedicated moderators. I mean 15 people who can even access the tools to moderate 250 million people. Also, the entire team responsible for verifying users, something that advertisers are becoming increasingly concerned about. He then threatened to name and shame advertisers who have pulled out of Twitter so that they'd get in trouble with his conservative fan base. And that ought to convince people to do more business with you in the future. On November 6th, several employees who were laid off 2 days prior are asked to come back and told that their firing was an error and rehired. Boy, what a happy ending after all. Musk finally explained how he intended to deal with people taking advantage of the new verification system to impersonate people or brands. His plan was to let them do that, and then ban them and keep the money. And that answer was not reassuring to advertisers, as you can imagine, especially since Twitter's reduced staff would have a great deal of difficulty moderating the site to ban fake accounts. So Musk pivoted and said anyone impersonating anyone without saying directly that they're a parody account will be suspended. I remind you, Musk refers to himself as a free speech absolutist. And this solution has the same problem of enforceability, but even more so, because Musk doesn't specify how or where people are to label themselves parody accounts, meaning before you can ban someone for impersonating impersonation, you'd need to not only verify that they are impersonating someone, but also check their entire post history and bio to see whether or not they had specified that they are parody. So, on November 9th, Twitter launched the new official tag, a tag which would serve the same purpose as the old verified tag, but wouldn't be purchasable, which would make the verified tag mean nothing, except that you spent $8 to get it, thereby making the thing which he has staked the company's entire financial future on completely pointless and undoing all of his populist rhetoric about Twitter's serfs and peasant system. It just doesn't make any sense. So the same day it launched, Elon removed the official tag, personally. Then, verified badges start to appear on Twitter Blue subscribers' handles, and I now present a montage of brands, celebrities, and politicians being impersonated by verified accounts. And also, here's a montage of a whole lot of verified users impersonating Elon Musk and his companies specifically. Now, if you're the CEO of a company currently facing a crisis or several crises, most of which are the direct results of your personal behavior, it's very important to reassure your customer base that you're not only taking the problem seriously, but doing everything in your power to fix it. Elon chose instead to laugh about it and thank the fake accounts for the money. Now, that'd be ballin' if he was making enough money through these fake accounts that he no longer needed advertisers, right? Because it's like, what are they going to do about it? Haha. But that's not the case, because during the 2 days the feature was available, spoiler alert, they take the feature down on the 11th to retool it, and it has yet to come back online. It reportedly made less than $500,000 on launch, during the time when most people should, in theory, be most excited to get it. Remember, by Musk's own calculations, Twitter is losing $4 million a day. But he thinks it's going fine, just needs a few tweaks. November 10th, the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly loses billions in stock prices after a verified impersonator claimed they would be giving away insulin for free. Similarly, Lockheed Martin lost billions when a verified impersonator claimed they would halt sales to the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel due to their respective human rights records. And this may be the funniest single moment in human history, when two random Twitter users paid $8 each to cost these enormous monolithic corporations astronomical sums of money because an unrelated monolithic corporation allowed them to pretend that they might do something kind. The layers of indictment of capitalism here boggle the mind. It's worth noting that it's not just impersonators getting verified at this point, so there's also some Nazis, including some big names you might have heard of, like Richard Spencer, Amy Meck, and apparently, big get, the real Adolf Hitler. These fine folks use Twitter to buy some credibility, and can you imagine these activist advertiser snowflakes having some problem with their brand being associated with Hitler? Now, at this point, I pause to ask, does it seem to you as though Twitter's commitment to brand safety has remained unchanged? Also this day, Twitter's CISO, Chief Privacy Officer, and Chief Compliance Officer all resign, which not only puts all of Twitter's users at risk of data breaches, which may have already happened at time of recording, and other security threats, but also potentially violates an agreement Twitter made with the Federal Trade Commission, which could result in billions of dollars in fines. The FTC might also name Elon Musk personally liable. Also, the financial situation is so dire that bankruptcy is likely. You know, the company he just spent $43 billion to buy, just a business genius is the thing about him. November 11th, as I alluded to earlier, Twitter suspends all Twitter Blue subscriptions and also announces that the official tag will come back in some point at some unspecified capacity, but only for advertisers. We are now at 2 weeks since Elon took over. How do you think he's doing so far? November 14th, Elon tweets that he'll be shutting down Twitter microservices, which he deems bloatware. Microservices are like little bits of software that run independently and contribute to a larger software ecosystem. So they're like little things that run and they do some service for Twitter, right? Essentially. More or less, I don't know. Computer nerds, don't at me. The important part here is that among the bloatware that is disabled is the ability for users with two-factor authorization to log in. So if you log out, you just can't log back in because there's no way for it to send like a text message to your phone or whatever. Messages from an internal Twitter Slack channel show Twitter's Senior Director of Engineering admitting that employees who had been rehired after being fired on November 6th were not, in fact, fired in error, and that they should be thought of as temporary staff who would need to be removed once it was possible to do so. So I guess that wasn't really a happy ending for them. Oops. That feels weirdly cruel. November 15th, Elon announced that the relaunch of Twitter Blue would be pushed back to November 29th. When asked how he would prevent the same problem of rampant impersonation, Elon responded, it's hard to say, so I figure we gotta know who everybody is. That's the thing we should do, so we'll do that. November 16th, Musk sends out an ominous email to all Twitter staff titled A Fork in the Road, in which he demands that they commit to, quote, high-intensity work for, quote, long hours and be, quote, extremely hardcore, potentially working 24/7 in order to bring to life Elon's vision of Twitter 2.0. He offers an ultimatum in which employees have until 5 p.m. the next day to accept the new working conditions or de facto resign. Some disabled workers immediately launch another class action lawsuit claiming that the demand to work overtime and also his ending of remote work policies is discriminatory and violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's worth stopping here and examining this offer. The right-wing media had a kind of take on it, which is like, oh, he just asked engineers to work harder and they had a meltdown because they just want to drink lattes. Imagine you're in a situation where your company is bought by a new boss and that boss fires half of the employees and then asks you to continue working twice as hard for the same amount of money. And also that the company might go bankrupt pretty soon, so if you do decide to stay, you might just lose your job anyway. And also, if you leave, he has to give you 3 months severance. Which of these options do you take? The next day, at least 1,000 people resign. It's unclear how many people remain, and Twitter hasn't commented on it publicly, because their entire communications team resigned. But according to polls in the company Slack before the deadline hit, only 7% of remaining employees reported intending to stay. Former Twitter engineers start warning that there are no longer enough staff to maintain critical infrastructure, and that Twitter is likely to stop working relatively soon, but as of this writing, Twitter's still up and running. So, we'll see, I suppose. Panicked and seemingly surprised at the mass resignation, Elon closes all Twitter offices and revokes keycard access to all staff. Disgruntled former employees set up a projector at Twitter headquarters, which scrolls through a bunch of nasty messages about Elon, calling him an apartheid profiteer, among other accurate insults. Side note, not really related to the Twitter thing, but funny story. That same day, Elon is on trial for a lawsuit about whether his compensation at Tesla constituted unjust enrichment, essentially whether or not he ripped off shareholders, and, haven't really looked into it, and I don't know much about the law, but seems like there's a precedent there. Musk objected to a question about how in 2018 he had signed a consent decree with the SEC after that they had found he was lying about having secured the funding to take Tesla private at $420 a share. Epic. Musk argued that the decree was invalid because it was, quote, signed under duress, because if he had not signed it, the company would have lost money. Opposing counsel explained that actually Musk's lawyer had the right to object to this question, but he personally did not. And when Musk refused to shut up, they then asked if Musk had any legal training, and Elon Musk responded, and again, this is a direct quote, I'm not making this up as a joke to make fun of him. If you're in enough lawsuits, you pick up a few things along the way. Yeah, man, you're basically a lawyer. You basically went to law school because of how many times you've been sued. November 17th, RIP Twitter is trending. Elon acts quickly to quell fears of the company's demise by bragging about having killed the company. November 18th, Elon elaborates his vision for Twitter's new moderation policy. Hate speech will be permitted on Twitter, but suppressed by the algorithm. He calls this freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. And it's the exact policy that conservatives have been complaining about for years. It's literally shadow banning. That's what shadow banning is. Speaking of bans, he reverses bans on a number of controversial figures, like alleged human trafficker and open misogynist Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, who wasn't actually banned, just suspended for violating the rules against hate speech, the Babylon Bee, and I guess Kathy Griffin also, a token liberal to fake neutrality, and of course, Yee. Yay. I've never, because it's Kanye, but it's Yeezy. I've never said it out loud before. I don't know. Anyway, he unbans that guy, and he responds, shalom, as if to signal that his anti-Semitic statements on the platform will continue. Elon then runs a poll to see if he should unban President Trump, despite previously stating many times he would wait for the advice of a diverse panel of experts on the subject. And yes, narrowly wins, marking the first and probably last time that President Trump would ever win the popular vote. Trump would go on to claim that he won't be coming back to Twitter, making the whole thing pointless, but frankly, I don't believe him about that for even one goddamn second. People started asking Musk to unban Alex Jones, which he refused to do. He took a principled stance that having watched his own child die in his arms, he didn't approve of what Alex Jones had said about Sandy Hook victims, which I think is totally the right call, but does kind of call into question his commitment to free speech absolutism. I don't think you should unban Alex Jones. Good job. But that is, it seems like it's arbitrary and personal given the people you did choose to unban. On November 23rd, the day before American Thanksgiving, Elon demonstrated his gratitude to a number of engineers who had chosen to stay after his ultimatum with further layoffs. And it's worth noting at this point that many of the remaining engineers are H-1B visa holders who could potentially now be at risk of deportation, all of whom chose to stay after his egregious ultimatum, many of whom had been fired and then rehired and told to come back and did, and there's speculation that now they might actually get less severance. And look, I gotta cut it off here. I'm sure some extremely funny stuff has happened in between me writing this and posting it. I know that has happened, but I can't wait forever, so I don't know, I'll do a follow-up at some point if there's interest. But I want to address the elephant in the room here. Because obviously Elon Musk is gonna be fine. He's too rich to ever suffer the type of consequences a human being might face from a bad business deal. He's not going to be in the poorhouse ever. That being said, there is a tendency to assign to Musk and people like him a sort of Machiavellian genius. What seems to you like they're losing because you don't understand the genius of the move he's making. It's four-dimensional chess, baby. He's going to come out on top. This is somewhat because we have trouble accepting that someone with so many resources could be foolish enough to make so many mistakes, that nobody who works for him will point out the problems he is creating for himself or advise a wiser course of action. We would all prefer that there are evil masterminds at the wheel than dummies at the wheel. And no matter how he tries to spin this in the future, this has been personally disastrous for Elon Musk. He's lost at least $100 billion of his personal fortune. To put that number in perspective, think of a dollar. $100 billion would be 100 billion of those. Not only has he tanked the stock price of his most valuable asset, Tesla, he's also done irreparable harm to his greatest intangible asset, his reputation. He's become a laughingstock, and it's not likely he'll be able to sucker investors like he has in the past. They've already grown more skeptical of the tech industry in the past few months, and he's fallen on his ass harder than any of these tech giants. And I think to assume that there's some secret master plan is to buy into his myth-making, that he's some renegade genius who sees things at such a high level that the average person could never understand the mysteries he grapples with. I think the reality is pretty clear, though. He just assumed he could do this. He assumed he could run Twitter, just like he assumes he could be a lawyer despite not knowing anything about the law, or assumes he can judge people's coding by reading it on a piece of paper. He is a petty tyrant who refuses to listen to the legions of people more capable than him in every regard. Because the enormous wealth he pilfered through quasi-legal schemes and unethical cons means that he doesn't have to ever again in his life. He can just bully everyone around him, and there's nothing they can do to get back at him, because he has more money than it should be possible to have. There is no greater logic to his actions. There is no secret master plan. The emperor has no clothes. Even if it later turns out that he bounces back and makes a shitload of money, it's not because he's a secret genius. It's because when you have billions of dollars, you can't do anything to fail. You will just remain rich forever. These people, these ultra-rich jackoffs who own more wealth than some nations, they're not smarter than you. They don't provide benefits to these companies in proportion to their compensation to justify the obscene hoards they possess. All of these companies would be better off if they were prevented from making any major decisions. They would literally be better off if a rock with googly eyes were made CEO. Elon Musk is a buffoon, and I think I've demonstrated that quite conclusively. I could personally do a better job as CEO of Twitter, despite knowing absolutely nothing about business or tech, because all I'd have to do is not do anything. Doing nothing and letting Twitter employees just do whatever the fuck they want would be a significant improvement in management. In fact, I can prove that. I have been more successful than Elon Musk in business this year. My fair trade union-made t-shirts from ThoughtSlimeShop.com have at this point not lost $100 billion. Let that sink in. Hello and welcome to the Eyeball Zone. Here in the Eyeball Zone, we're a microblogging social networking service on which users post and interact with messages known as eyeballs. To put that another way, we help @small leftist creators put eyeballs on their work. Here's a dirty little secret. I have a lot of warm feelings about Top Gear, the television program, and I don't just mean anger, despite the fact that the hosts are pretty fucking terrible dudes. I just can't help it. I grew up watching the show with my parents, and I have a lot of good memories. Luckily for me, Edmund Hyde is here to explain away this cognitive dissonance by carefully demonstrating the ways in which Top Gear has begun to more and more continue the tradition of soft imperialist control in a surprising number of ways. Like, seriously, there's There's just so much to criticize about Jeremy Clarkson that you'd assume nobody would be able to think of something new, but it's actually patently obvious how much later seasons of Top Gear reproduce imperialist ideology. And when I say that, I don't just mean in like the kind of soft, wishy-washy way that everything kind of does within former imperialist nations, like, you know, just the unspoken presumption of superiority. I mean the actual idea that we should be out there colonizing other countries. Or, I guess, the British should be. But, you know, same difference. You wouldn't think that there'd be this much evidence that a comedy show about automobiles was advocating this, but it is actually shocking to see when Ed lays it all out. Do you have a small expression from which the eyeballs might feast? Send no more than one email to thoughtslineeditor@gmail.com with pertinent details such as your pronouns, and perhaps you too shall face the wrath of the eyeball zone. Thank you for watching my video. I would ask now that you like the video, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos just like it. Hey, also, Patreon me, please. Patreon me some dollars to me, Thoughtsline. Buy a t-shirt also would be good. Mastodon seems like a bad website. I'm not going to learn to use it.
Under fire!
Securing objective Bravo. We've lost the lead. The enemy holds all objectives. We control Bravo.
One down.
Enemy securing Bravo. Enemy securing Bravo. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back. Cluster mine detected.
Would you like to buy a piece of Alex Jones? Maybe a microphone that's extremely used and only partially submerged in saliva? How about a neon sign of the largest disinformation podcast in history? What about a tinfoil hat, lightly greased? Well, now's the opportunity of a lifetime because InfoWars is being sold for parts to pay for Alex Jones' bankruptcy and the billions of dollars he owes people. So now's your chance. Chaos lawyer Liz Dye.
Thanks, Devin. Well, it's time to bust open that piggy bank because the bankruptcy court is breaking up InfoWars' parent company, Free Speech Systems, and auctioning the pieces for scrap. Buyers will have a chance to purchase a little piece of history. Really ugly history. In December of 2022, a mass shooter stormed Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, killing 20 first graders and 6 staffers. Almost immediately, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones claimed on his wildly popular InfoWars podcast that the shooting was a false flag operation by the Obama administration. By his own admission, Jones had a huge megaphone.
You have any idea how big? I mean, I'm not even bragging. I just realized I need to throw it in the enemy's face and just laugh at them. We're bigger than the BBC and what, like CNN combined. We're bigger than the New York Times.
So when he called the parents of the slain children crisis actors and accused them of participating in a hoax staged to gin up support for gun control, lots of people heard him. And when he predicted that it was a prelude to a government campaign to forcibly seize Americans' guns, his audience believed him. And even though that never happened, Jones spent the next 5 years lending his airwaves to a rotating cast of kooks and liars who speculated that the slain children had never existed. Worse, Jones encouraged his listeners to do their own research, which they did, ensuring that the grieving families would be deluged with harassment and death threats, even at their own children's funerals. Some of the parents were even forced to go into hiding out of fear for their family's safety. And the reason Jones did all that was because it made him a lot of money. The Huffington Post reports that InfoWars brought in upwards of $50 million a year between 2015 and 2018. During his whole final statement on Sandy Hook, which aired on November 18, 2016, not his final statement, he said, "I watched a lot of soap operas and I've seen actors before and I know when I'm watching a movie and when I'm watching something real." On that day alone, the InfoWars store took in more than $100,000 fogging supplements and survival meals to his supporters. It does not seem to have occurred to Jones that there might be a price to pay for telling horrible lies about people, which, to be fair, he'd been doing for decades with very little pushback. It certainly didn't stop presidential candidate Donald Trump from appearing on his show and praising him in 2015. So Jones was probably surprised in 2018 when he was sued by 3 separate groups of Sandy Hook parents, 2 in Texas where he lives and 1 in Connecticut where they live. He certainly didn't take these suits seriously since he more or less refused to cooperate with discovery and turn over documents as ordered by the court. It was only in 2021 when judges in both states slapped him with default judgments that he seemed to have sensed that he was in deep doo-doo. But instead of trying to negotiate a settlement like a normal person, he instead set about moving his assets. Specifically, he remembered that Free Speech Systems owed $54 million to a company called PQPR LLC, which supplied the supplements sold on Infowars.com, and just never bothered to send a bill. How did PQPR forget to invoice for years on end? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that PQPR is wholly owned by Jones and his parents, David and Carol. But approximately 5 minutes after the courts entered those default judgments, Free Speech Systems, which is wholly owned by Jones himself, signed a secured promissory note purporting to put PQPR first in line to get paid before any other creditors. To pay off this debt, FSS immediately began shoveling cash out the door to PQPR, and then Jones and his company began their wild adventure in bankruptcy court, exploiting the system to avoid paying the Sandy Hook families for the damage they'd caused. The first step was to put a couple of worthless LLCs into bankruptcy on the eve of the trial in Texas. When you sue a group of related entities, you sue everyone you can to make sure that they're all on the hook together for the damages. So the Sandy Hook plaintiffs sued Jones and Free Speech Systems, but they also added in a bunch of little companies owned by FSS, at least in part to ensure that FSS didn't transfer its assets to one of those affiliated entities. But a bankruptcy filing automatically stays litigation pending against the filer. So when InfoW LLC and IW Health LLC declared bankruptcy, that put the whole Texas case on hold. Jones hoped to force the Sandy Hook families to drop their claims, and he wasn't subtle about it. Jones's lawyer, Norm Price, who is what you might call a character, told the Wall Street Journal, "We're turning to the bankruptcy courts to compel the plaintiffs to estimate the value of their claims in open court by discernible evidentiary standards. The plaintiffs have turned this litigation into a macabre morality play and have refused to negotiate in good faith. We hope they will show respect to the federal courts." Of course, the plaintiffs had been trying for years to settle their claims in open court by discernible evidentiary standards. The bankruptcy was actually employed to stop them doing just that. And Jones's opening offer in bankruptcy was to fund a litigation settlement trust with $10 million, an amount which wouldn't even cover the legal bills accrued by the Sandy Hook plaintiffs after 4 years of pretrial work chasing him down as he utterly refused to cooperate with the process. That gambit failed when the plaintiffs just dropped the LLCs as party to their state suits and marched back into court. So clearly, Jones wasn't going to be able to wriggle away that easily, and in July of 2022, he put Free Speech Systems into Chapter 11. Remember, every time you hear that FSS did something, that's Jones, because Jones owns 100% of FSS. Now, Chapter 11 of the Bankruptcy Code is for reorganization. You're supposed to negotiate with your creditors and then come out the end as a workable business. But FSS went further than that, filing under Subchapter 5, which is a provision designed for mom-and-pop small businesses like a corner store or a dry cleaners with debts of less than $7.5 million. FSS was able to do that for 2 reasons. First, because they got in right before the first jury verdict came down, which would have pushed the company's debts past the statutory threshold. And second, because the law disregards debts to insiders like, say, the owner of the company and his parents. So that $54 million debt to PQPR did not count. In August of 2022, just after FSS declared bankruptcy, a jury in Texas awarded the first set of Sandy Hook plaintiffs $4 million in compensatory damages, and then the judge added on an additional $45 million in punitive damages. That was the case where the plaintiff's lawyer, Mark Bankston, confronted Jones on the witness stand with proof that he was lying since his lawyers had inadvertently turned over a hard drive containing the contents of his phone.
12 years ago, your attorneys messed up and sent me an entire digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privilege or protect it in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me when you said you didn't have a text message about Sandy Hook. Did you know that?
Now that's good content. Then, in October, a Connecticut jury ordered Jones to pay $900,000 $165 million in compensatory damages to the second group of Sandy Hook families, and the judge tacked on an additional $473 million in punitives. Jones laughed on air as the verdict was read, promising that the families would never get paid.
Ain't gonna be happening. Ain't no money.
Our verdict as to damages in this case being more damages to each plaintiff, and against Alex Jones.
I killed the kids, folks.
In December, Jones filed for personal bankruptcy under Chapter 11. Under employment, he listed media personality and dietary supplement sales, but not journalist, which was not fake news.
Now, sorry to interrupt, but obviously if your entire life is getting liquidated to satisfy a multi-billion-dollar judgment, you'd want a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, my law firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If you ever suffered a data breach, especially if you got one of those data breach letters saying that your social security number has been leaked, if you were involved in a car crash or have dealt with sexual harassment from Alex Jones or anyone else, we can represent you or help find you the right attorney. Because it's so important to talk to a lawyer right away so you can maximize your recovery or at least find out what your options are. So just click on the link in the description or call the phone number that's on screen right now for a free consultation with my team. Because you don't just need a legal team, you need an Eagle Team. So click below.
U.S. bankruptcy judge Christopher Lopez has presided over all the Alex Jones-related bankruptcies, and after more than 2 years, he seems frankly worn out by Jones's shenanigans. Unlike most federal hearings, you can listen in real time to bankruptcies, but you still can't use the recordings in, say, a YouTube video. So just take my word for it, Judge Lopez is at the end of his rope. Because the entire purpose of a Subchapter 5 bankruptcy is to get the debtor out of court within about 6 months. And Jones has never done any of the things he needed to do to make that happen. He continued to file incomplete paperwork, hiding assets, and refusing to come forward with a viable plan. His best offer to the Sandy Hook plaintiffs was $55 million over 10 years to settle all claims, on $1.5 billion in damages, much of which will survive these proceedings thanks to 11 U.S.C. Section 523, which provides that debt arising from willful and malicious injury by the debtor to another entity or to the property of another entity does not get zeroed out in bankruptcy. In legal parlance, those debts are non-dischargeable because it would be bad public policy to let people commit willful torts and then use the bankruptcy system to get out of paying their victims. And Judge Lopez ruled back in October that the $4 million award to the Texas plaintiffs and more than $1 billion of the Connecticut plaintiffs' verdict cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. So Jones's offer to pay a structured settlement of like $55 million amounted to a whopping 3.6% of the debt. That's not a real settlement offer when the Sandy Hook plaintiffs are entitled to every single dollar Jones has or will ever have for the rest of his life. That's a delay tactic because Jones never intended to negotiate a settlement and reorganize FSS. The point of this exercise was always to either force the Sandy Hook plaintiffs to walk away with virtually nothing or to buy enough time that Jones and his father could set up a new platform to continue the business. Here he is at Christmas saying that they just need to get through this Subchapter 5 and then they'll be free and clear.
As long as we can be solvent and somewhat profitable, then the money will go to run this operation, keep us on the air for years while the appeals go forward.
And as the months dragged on, it became clear that Jones was using the bankruptcy court in the same bad faith way he'd done in 2022 when he put those worthless LLCs in Chapter 11. And in the meantime, Jones and his dad set up a competing company, Dr. Jones Naturals, that Jones advertised for on InfoWars, siphoning revenue away from the company. In May of 2024, Judge Lopez finally broke the logjam. The judge gave Jones a month to come up with a plan or the FSS case was going to get dismissed. But that managed to fracture the two sets of Sandy Hook families. Because remember, the Connecticut plaintiffs have a $1.4 billion judgment, which is almost entirely non-dischargeable. And the Texas plaintiffs have a $50 million judgment, of which only $4 million is definitively non-dischargeable. So if Jones's assets inside and outside the corporation are a pie that the plaintiffs get to share, the Texas plaintiffs are going to get a really tiny slice because their share is so much smaller than the Connecticut verdict, which is why the two sets of plaintiffs had vastly different reactions to Judge Lopez's threat to kick FSS out of court. The Connecticut families immediately requested that Judge Lopez convert the case from a Chapter 11 reorganization to a Chapter 7 liquidation, which would sell off the assets and divide the proceeds among the creditors. And that would give the Connecticut families almost all the pie, because they have a 10-figure non-dischargeable damage award. They said the Connecticut families firmly believe the interest of the estate and all creditors would be best served by conversion as opposed to dismissal of the FSS case in light of the unique circumstances. And then they try to rattle the cage by telling the court about Jones bragging on air that Judge Lopez was going to wash his hands like Pontius Pilate of the case and basically let Jones win.
The judge says a week and a half ago, no, I'm not going to liquidate and shut down InfoWars. I'm going to kick it out of bankruptcy and give it back to Alex Jones, which then means the state courts and Judge Guerra Gamble and the wild-eyed Democrats can try to come in here, but he washes his hands like Pontius Pilate, and he says, I'm not doing this.
The Texas plaintiffs, with their vastly smaller damage award, have different priorities, and they don't want to divide the assets pro rata. They want to seize whatever they can get their hands on. They're much better off with the proverbial race to the courthouse, particularly since they're in Texas, and so is Alex Jones, so that courthouse is local for them. They submitted their own brief reminding Judge Lopez how long Jones has dragged this thing out and urging the court to kick FSS to the curb. They said the court should order dismissal and deny the Connecticut plaintiff's conversion motion. The Texas plaintiffs have sat on their rights for nearly 2 years, hoping a consensual resolution would be reached where FSS meaningfully pays its judgment. Enough is enough. The Sandy Hook family should be allowed to enforce their rights so they can finally move on with their lives. And then Jones himself moved to convert his personal bankruptcy to a Chapter 7 liquidation, as was his absolute right under law. Whether that's because he's already shifted enough of the assets to his father's name that he's ready to tap out, or because he saw the writing on the wall, it signaled that he finally understood he wasn't going to wring anything else out of the bankruptcy process, and it was time to pull the ripcord. At a hearing on June 14th, Judge Lopez made the easy decision to convert Jones's personal bankruptcy to a Chapter 7. He really didn't have any choice. The law is clear on that one. Judge Lopez also appointed Charles Murray, an experienced bankruptcy lawyer in Texas, as trustee in Jones's Chapter 7 case. What to do about free speech systems was a much harder decision, not least because the grieving Sandy Hook families were divided. The day before that hearing, the Chapter 5 trustee, Melissa Hazelden, submitted a report detailing all the ways Jones was diverting assets from FSS. For instance, on June 1, 2024, Jones tells his followers that by supporting drjonesnaturals.com, the viewers will be supporting Jones' family as the InfoWars story is, quote, overrun, done, and gone. Jones adds that his dad had set up drjonesnaturals.com because his father knew InfoWars would be shut down, and urges viewers to support his embattled family by purchasing from drjonesnaturals.com, and that drjonesnaturals.com has, quote, emergency stuff backed up. In fact, he was using every broadcast to send viewers to his father's store, explicitly directing them to send money away from FSS. The trustee also noted that Jones had returned to flogging conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook shooting, speculating on June 7 that there were multiple shooters, and intimating on the air 2 days later that he would soon reveal to his listeners what really happened that day. On June 10, he even attacked the plaintiffs, saying the so-called Sandy Hook families are being used by the Justice Department, by the FBI, to be the front people for this. And Jones appeared to admit on air that he was attempting to download the InfoWars archive, which belongs to FSS and not him personally, potentially siphoning a valuable asset away from the company and its creditors. Hazelden noted that FSS content should not be used for any commercial purpose by any person other than the debtor. The value of any FSS property should inure to the benefit of the debtor's creditors or Jones's impending Chapter 7 estate. And she highlighted the problem with dismissing FSS from Chapter 11 while Jones himself is in bankruptcy, because Jones is the sole owner of SSS, but his incentive is definitely not to conduct an orderly wind-down of operations for the benefit of his creditors. Hazelden worried that if FSS got cut loose, no one would be able to control Jones, and he would just steal everything that wasn't nailed down and then burn the place down, figuratively speaking. Hazelden urged Judge Lopez to make really clear before kicking FSS out of court whether Jones would control the company as the 100% owner or Murray would control it as the Chapter 7 trustee in charge of liquidating Alex Jones's assets for the benefit of his creditors. And for the most part, Judge Lopez refused to do that. After a wrenching hearing that lasted for hours, he dismissed the free speech system bankruptcy, and he noted that all the parties were represented by experienced counsel, and so he wasn't going to micromanage the process other than to order the FSS restructuring officer to turn control of the business accounts over to Murray as trustee rather than to Jones personally. And then, as soon as the dismissal order was signed, every single thing that Hazelden warned about happened in short order. Within 2 hours of the FSS case being officially out of bankruptcy, the Texas plaintiffs marched into the District Court of Travis County, Texas, and attempted to seize FSS and all its assets. A judge in Texas agreed, signing what's locally referred to as a turnover order on June 24th. Murray, the Chapter 7 trustee, raced back to Judge Lopez with an emergency motion to clarify, by which he meant tell the state court and the Texas plaintiffs to stand down because all that stuff about we're all grown-ups here didn't work. Murray also asked the court to clarify that he was the one in charge of FSS's accounts, by which he meant, and not Alex Jones, in case he gets any bright ideas about paying his father or otherwise moving money beyond the reach of creditors. Unsurprisingly, the Connecticut plaintiffs agreed. They filed a motion supporting an orderly liquidation of FSS's assets and pro-rata distributions among FSS's creditors that hold valid claims. They accused the Texas families of seeking preferential treatment and outsized recoveries. The Texas plaintiffs countered that Murray, as the trustee of Jones's personal bankruptcy, had no authority to run FSS, which is a corporation owned by but separate from Jones. They reminded the court that everyone involved had agreed that it was time for the Sandy Hook plaintiffs to pursue state remedies. And what else could state remedies mean besides collection actions in state court? They said, in many ways, whether the trustee or Alex Jones has management rights over FSS is a red herring. Even if this court holds that the Chapter 7 trustee controls FSS, that doesn't allow FSS to flout a state court order to turn over its property. FSS is no longer in bankruptcy. The automatic stay has been lifted. The parties are allowed to pursue available state court remedies. And the Texas plaintiffs are doing just that. At a hearing on June 27th, a clearly exasperated Judge Lopez wondered in his typical fashion whether the Texas plaintiffs were being deliberately disingenuous or if he needed to draft his orders more clearly. He stayed the state judge's order and explicitly granted Murray the authority to take the reins at FSS. In the short term, that meant inviting the dozens of lawyers and accountants and appraisers to submit their invoices and get paid since they're priority creditors. Which makes sense if you think about it, since professionals would never agree to work on a bankruptcy case if they had to go to the back of the line and wait to get paid like everyone else. But the practical effect of that is that more or less all the cash in FSS's accounts will be gone before any of the Sandy Hook plaintiffs get paid, which makes the disposition of the assets, both from FSS and Jones's personal bankruptcy, even more important. On August 22nd, Murray moved for a court order authorizing the wind down of FSS. He said that he'd been approached by multiple parties who hoped to purchase Free Speech Systems' intellectual property, or IP. Remember, Hazelden was worried that Jones would either expropriate or destroy the back catalog on his way out the door, and maybe the brand too. And that's why it was important, because those are where the value lies. Because irrespective of whether you think that InfoWars is toxic garbage, that stuff is FSS's most valuable corporate asset, and it's the trustee's job to get the best price he can for it. Murray proposed to hold two auctions. First, selling off the IP, and then selling off the rest of Free Speech Systems assets, like the buildings and computers and corporate cars. On September 25th, Judge Lopez agreed. Under the terms of the order, anyone interested in buying the InfoWars IP will have to sign a confidentiality agreement and fully disclose the identity of each entity and each entity's shareholders, partners, investors, and ultimate controlling entities that are participating in the bid. So, if, say, Alex Jones' dad, Dr. David Jones, wants to participate in this auction and buy the company's assets, he'll have to disclose that. He cannot hide behind a nest of shell companies. Bids will be sealed and accompanied by a cash deposit equal to 10% of the purchase price. All bids must be in by November 8th, with the winners notified the following week. An auction for the other assets will be on December 10th under significantly less stringent rules. All you have to do is pony up your credit card number and a valid name, address, and email. So if you've got your eye on a used pop filter or a coffee mug from the InfoWars break room, now's your chance. Maybe pick up a case of super concentrated Vasobeat Complete while you're there, or an exclusive InfoWars limited edition proprietary 24-karat 999 pure gold collectible. But who would actually want to buy this stuff? Well, Jones seems to think that there are any number of patriots waiting in the wings ready to put cash on the table to keep InfoWars running as a conspiracy theory freak show. It's very cut and dry that the assets of Free Speech Systems, the website, the equipment, the shopping cart, all that can be sold, he said on a recent show. And they know full well that there are a bunch of patriot buyers, and then the operation can ease on. He did not say whether those patriots include his daddy or whether he intends to rely on the kindness of strangers. And to be clear, weird things have happened. In 2022, an anonymous donor dropped $8 million of Bitcoin into InfoWars coffers, which Jones pocketed. But if the IP isn't snapped up by one of Jones's supporters, it might well end up owned by his detractors. Independent media outlet The Barbed Wire is fundraising to purchase some of the FSS IP assets. Editor Jeff Rutkoff wrote, "We'd like your help to make some mischief by buying InfoWars and using it for our absurd, joke-filled progressive journalism purposes. Jones has said he hopes patriots will buy the company, keeping him employed and on the air. What if we do literally anything else with it?" There are a lot of ways business could go down. And don't forget, Jones's personal bankruptcy is still going on. Here's Jones crying on air in June about being forced to sell his ranch, something he blamed on the FBI, CIA, and the Democratic Party.
We're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children.
In reality, his own lawyer requested the court's permission to sell that property. That's not a game he's going to continue to be able to play with Murray babysitting as trustee. In fact, as the parties were hashing out the details for that auction of the InfoWars IP, Jones's only concern was protecting domains that contain his name, which he claims cannot be owned by any other than him personally and his personal social media accounts. Murray explicitly excluded those things from the FSS IP auction, but he suggested in the hearing that he intends to revisit the issue when he disposes of the assets in Jones's personal bankruptcy. So if you ever wanted to buy the @RealAlexJones handle, maybe you'll get your chance. And there are 2 remaining cases involving money Jones moved out of FSS when he realized he was about to get sued into oblivion. One alleges that Jones fraudulently transferred some $18 million to himself and to PQPR in anticipation of the litigation. That was originally filed in Texas state court and removed to the federal court. The other case, also filed by the Sandy Hook plaintiffs, alleges that the notes free speech system signed acknowledging that $54 million debt to PQPR were fraudulent and unenforceable. Remember, that's the company wholly owned by Jones and his parents. Both cases are in front of Judge Lopez, who's probably regretting his career choices about now. It ain't over till it's over, but we do appear to be entering the final inning. Thank God.
Thanks, Liz. For now, Alex Jones is still broadcasting, but his days may be limited. And Alex Jones is one of the many things that are still out on the internet that can hurt you, which is where today's sponsor, NordVPN, comes in. Because, you know, incognito mode isn't actually incognito. Google actually got sued over this. But with NordVPN's no logs policy, your internet service provider doesn't get to snoop on what you're searching, and neither does NordVPN. I've personally been a long-time user of NordVPN, and I especially like to use it while I'm traveling and using unfamiliar networks, which we all tend to do a lot this time of year. And NordVPN is more than just a great VPN. It comes with a whole suite of threat protection tools. For example, if you follow some of your favorite creators on social media, you might have heard of stories of a channel getting hacked, basically a creator losing access after a successful attack or leaked password. This happens way too often. But NordVPN's threat protection includes specific features to warn you about phishing links, as well as features like a blocker for malicious ads and dark web monitoring to alert you if your passwords have been leaked. And of course, NordVPN is still a great VPN. With Nord, you can surf the web anonymously and your location stays private. It allows me to set my location all over the world, which lets me access different versions of my favorite websites. And when I'm out of the country and trying to connect to my Gmail or a bunch of other things that I'm logged into, all those accounts would normally freak out and tell me that I've been hacked. So now I just reroute my connection to the US and my Gmail and everything else is happy. And not only is Nord the fastest VPN on the planet, but you get 24/7 customer support to help you whenever you need it and a 30-day money-back guarantee for all users. So if you'd like to give NordVPN a try, click on the link that's on screen right now or down in the description. Every purchase in the 2-year plan will receive 4 bonus months on top, and it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So click on the link that's on screen right now or down below and get 1 free month with a huge discount and a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. And after that, click on this box over here for more Legal Eagle, or I'll see you in court.
Mosquito.
Enemy UAV active. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area. Hostile airstrike near your location.
Okay, we learned that with Noah. Everybody that played our names drowned.
We learned that with Noah, like he needs the ark? Is he talking about Noah's ark? Yo! This guy is awesome! Bro, Floridians are insane. They're sticking to the bees during the storm, so one of them is holding a Harris Walls sign. There's no... Is this live? Like, this is a live... At Naples Pier? Is Naples Pier supposed to be one of the impact zones? There's no way, right? So people are like currently at the beach. No, it's south, but yes. Impact is 8 p.m. EST, bro. Dog, what do you mean? If the impact is at 8 p.m., don't you think it would be smart to leave ahead of time so that you're not trying to drive in the storm surge? Because if the impact, when it makes landfall at 8 p.m., which is in a couple hours from now, it's 5 p.m. Pacific time. I had the comment on somebody TikTok's telling us we're gonna dive. They don't mean the same. I don't get it. I mean, I'm sure it's moved around a little bit, but it's like if you're for getting hit. Yeah, I don't think people understand how hurricanes work. Like the major impact is one thing. But even before it starts raining, dog, what are you gonna do? It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to get out of there. Naples marginally south of the impact zone, but south is where the storm surge will be the one. I don't understand it. Oh yeah, this is Ryan Hall. He's like the storm guy. The command center storm guy. Speaking of which, 2 large tornadoes from Hurricane Milton have crossed Interstate 75 in the Florida Everglades around 10 a.m. EDT, moving north between the towns of Miles City and Andytown. The tornado shown here was east of the first tornado and close to Andytown. What is happening, bro? This is why I'm saying, like, you can't wait till the last second to leave, dog. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? How do people still have this? How do people still demonstrate this hubris where they think they can toy with God? I will never understand this. It's like nature is the one beast you cannot tame, man. You do not know how to deal with it. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. People are like, I don't even give a about the technological improvements. By God, I will let natural selection take its place, dude. How? We have designed societies. We built skyscrapers. We went to the moon. And the state of Florida, comprised of Floridians, is still like, nah. Natural selection will take its evolutionary course on me, brother. I don't care about the internet. I have all of the data at my fingertips. All of the knowledge that this world has cultivated over generations. And what am I doing with that knowledge? I don't know. Believing that there is a Jewish space laser weather machine that caused this hurricane to hit me. You know, poor people can't leave, right? I know, man. That's not who I'm talking about. Shut up. God damn! Some of you so annoying! Every leftist group has to have that one bisexual, septum nose piercing wearing gonna be like, excuse me, you're being quite classist, sweetie. Shut up! That's not what I'm talking about. Every group, dude. Bro, listening to the Hostile broadcast with the windows down in my car, it's such a gamble. Yeah, it is a gamble. Except, guess what? A lot of people around you are gonna be put on notice that you're doing okay.
Sit.
Good girl. Okay. Sound down a little low. It might be just because I'm trying to do the here. I'll turn it up a little bit. That should be a little bit better. Thank you, Wakanda Grande. I like that purple a little bit better. I think that fits. Yeah, Banana Brains, I saw that. I swear you're dino in the corner a while ago. I don't know what that means, Psych Fops. Spooky Pepper 6900. Yeah, well, we'll talk about her transgendering Master Chief. Let me actually see if I can look that up real quick. But yeah, Steven Anderson apparently was, and I haven't talked to any of the Anderson kids about this. I haven't really, I literally just said 2 days ago, I'm pretty much done until like anything big happens, and I don't, honestly, this is not big enough for me to get involved. And I don't need to be involved. I have not, the Anderson kids have not shared anything with me. I have not asked for any details. I know basically what everybody else knows about him apparently being, according to Isaac, being admitted to a psych hospital or a psychiatric care ward for probably, Lego Dino. Yeah, my Lego Dino's right here. Here's my little Lego Dino. And no, I actually haven't bought any new sets. I have some of they've just kind of been taken at my desk. I have some of the D&D little minifigures that I got when those came out. But other than that, I actually sold off about $800 of my Lego sets because I'm moving and needed the money. But Melanie, I want to pull that up real quick. Oh man. Oh, right. Sorry, lady. Good girl. She's been sitting there since I sat down. She's been sitting there just like a couple feet away. But yeah, apparently Steven Anderson has been, I don't want to say institutionalized or anything because that's not really the right term, but, and thank you very much, Louis H. Garcia. But it is, yeah, it remains to be seen what will actually come of or what will actually happen with everything. So I'm not really going to cover it outside of saying, because I know other people are probably going to ask, I'm not really going to cover it outside of saying, yeah, I heard he was apparently admitted into a ward. How's the moving going? The moving is going. I am trying to find a way to legally break my lease, which I can and will do, but it's just going to be frustrating because I'm not paying to break my lease at all. I have, and there are a number of things, thankfully, Washington has that allow me to well, I don't want to talk too much about it because it's legal stuff, but I am yeah, sorry, I'm coming down off of like 3 hours of writing scripts for my next couple videos, and so my head is just like in a very different spot, so it might take a second to like switch tracks, but otherwise, somebody says lease breaking sucks. Yeah, I'm not paying out like the 6 months or whatever. The lease company has been terrible, and I'm not going to do it. Or the rental company has been terrible, and so like come hell or high water, I am out of here by November 5th, and we'll see how that goes, I guess. Institutionalized, yeah, institutionalized is probably not the right word, but he has been apparently admitted on what is likely a 72-hour hold. The reason I don't want to talk about it much more is that that's all anybody really knows, and he is supposed to preach tonight, so if he is, that kind of disproves what's happened. If he doesn't, or honestly, and I'll watch that later, but yeah, because what is the name of that? Here, give me a second. I've been watching so many Tolarian Community College videos that is like 90% of my feed right now. Where? I wonder if that, yeah, I think that channel might have been. Oh, Claire Cass, I still have my my shoulder. I haven't moved my shoulder since I opened it. Like she's still right back there with my little Baphomet statue. Yeah, he is currently in psych ward, or not in psych ward, but you know what I mean. Okay. Interesting. Sorry, I'm checking up something really quick. Yep, there's nothing. I'm trying to remember what time is.
Back at it.
Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Arizona time, so it's
Back to
5
kicking
right now,
arson.
so that'll be...
Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this.
I don't even know, my brain's not working. That's an hour from now, so I guess we'll see. No, Carry on top, I do not believe he did it himself. Thank you, Ultra Viper, or thank you, Jackie Sins, for gifting a membership to Ultra Viper. The One True Nix, thank you for following. Zolner on Twitch, thank you for 3 months. We just got here, just lurking, lol. Glad to have you. Pink Thing, just love how piracy is the only way to play the original Silent Hill 2 on PC. Yeah. Oh, Jackie Sins, thank you for gifting 5 subs. I don't know why that didn't pop in my notification bar.
Listen to some good. Anyway, here's a hurricane update from our meteorologist chatter, Stinky19. As of 1 p.m. EDT, Milton is growing in size, diameter as it barrels towards Florida as a Cat 4 hurricane. I thought that it was supposed to be a Cat 3 hurricane by this point. With 145 miles per hour winds and a minimum pressure of 935 millibars. The lower the pressure, the stronger the storm. This is a slight weakening from last night / early this morning. Hurricane force winds extend 30 miles out from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend 125 miles from the center. Most recent images of Milton. Hurricane Milton is pictured as a Category 5 storm in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Yucatan Peninsula from the space station. One of the craziest things I've actually watched on my TikTok feed, I've been seeing a lot of this, people doing prep for the hurricane before they leave and stuff. There's this guy who's in Tampa, okay? There's this guy who's in Tampa, I think, or in one of the places, where it's about to, it's going to make impact. It's got like 15 feet storm surge or whatever the prediction is, right? And the dude is like, oh yeah, I have Flex Seal. He took he put his goddamn Lambo on a jack, okay? He put his goddamn Lambo on a jack. Is on Daytona Beach? I think so. Okay. I'm glad that you guys saw it too. This bro, I swear to God, he's like, oh, don't worry, guys. I'm putting my Lamborghini on a car lift in my garage. Okay. And also, I found this thing where apparently as soon as the water hits, it like automatically turns into a dam. We were going to put that at the bottom of the garage, and we're going to use Flex Seal. The amount of faith that you are placing on Flex Seal is crazy. Okay? Are you out of your mind? I was looking at that and I'm like, dog, it's over. Like your Ferrari or Lamborghini or whatever the it is, it's gone. Okay? It is going to be absolutely caked in seawater. Oh, this one is I saw this one too. This one is awesome. Someone please update me post hurricane about this house specifically.
Brand new Corvette, 9 miles from the water.
Like, why don't you just drive it away, dog? What are you doing? If you care about it that much, drive it away, brother, because I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, that's not surviving. That's crazy. Just drive it away, man. All the money he had for gas and hotels was spent on the Corvette, duh. Like, I don't get it. Drive it away somewhere else. Like, literally drive it away from the vicinity of where the hurricane is going to make impact, where the storm surge is, and just leave it there for a couple days, maybe a week. What's wrong with you, dude? Like, how is this working? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, if you care about your car that much, why don't you just drive it away? I don't get it.
With the Flex Seal King, using his Flex Seal on top of the spray foam to stop the flood waters from going into the motorcycle shuttle in the air. The rubberized coating will keep the spray foam from falling apart and it will save the business.
We lost Bravo. We're taking Alpha. Hold every objective. Don't let them stand.
That section is waterproof. We'll do another section.
We're taking Bravo.
Throwing sticky grenade!
Dude, what's really funny about that is the wind speeds that we're talking about and the debris that we're talking about is going, like, there are so many things that could explode those windows, okay? Like, even if the Flex Seal were to work, what is hilarious about this entire process is that you got windows, dog. You got windows. All it takes is one jet ski from your neighbor to just fly directly into the window, and it's gone. It's done. I don't understand how these motherfuckers live in the state of Florida for extended periods of time and have still not figured out how hurricanes work. I lived there for a year. I lived in Florida for 1 year. And let me tell you, okay, I very quickly understood how it worked. That's crazy. That's all it took for me. 1 year of living in the state of Florida, I was like, oh, I'm out. Like, I get it. I see what's going on. How have you been living there your whole life and you still just, like, do not understand the concept?
Like Seal King of Daytona Beach.
I'm taking fire!
Buy a motorcycle. Come on over here on Friday. Back over again. We'll sell you motorcycle.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Securing objective.
No, you won't. That's crazy. He's like, nah, you don't understand, brother. Who the is gonna want to buy a Harley Davidson in the middle of the recovery and relief efforts? Like, this guy is out of his mind, dude. Bro, we need to open the schools. We need to close. We need to make it illegal to do homeschooling. We need to make it illegal to have private schools, and we need to immediately fund the public schools, like tomorrow, yesterday, okay? Yeah, this man is the crazy guy. He's Lieutenant Dan or whatever. He's just also another nutty guy. He's all over TikTok too. I gotta pee real quick. Here, watch this man explain his situation while I go pee.
Explain to them why you're assigned to seek out a Category 5, one of the worst hurricanes in Tampa history, out on a 20-foot sailboat.
All objectives are in friendly hands. Keep posted. We're losing Alpha. Taking Bravo.
Changing back. I came out here and got UAV in the area. And everything that he's been telling me over the last 2 days is I'm doing the right thing. He's got my back. I'm in good shape and I can sweat. I can ride this one out. We got set up the way we know what we're doing. And as long as the water just keeps rising, we'll be fine.
Will you be wearing a life jacket?
Hell no.
Are you going to be able to swim if they need be?
In circles.
You're just dead.
Can you swim with one leg or what?
Yeah, I can float like a champ. But swimming, I just go with
The plan is just to stick it out here.
the water's going to come in, it's going to rise. If you're on land, it's going to flood, you're risking drowning. I'm in a boat. The boat goes up with the water. So even if the boat goes up 100 feet in the air, I'm going to be up 100 feet in the air with the water. So it's really the safest place in the world to be is on my boat. I got linked on the female.
Give people some words of wisdom out there.
Be safe.
Can I say something? This attitude is the exact same attitude that I had when I was a child, and I always thought, like, if I jump right as the elevator is about to hit the ground, I'll survive. Like, what he is demonstrating right here is identical to like me being a kid and thinking, oh, if the elevator falls when I'm in it, I'll just jump right before the moment of impact and I'll survive it. I swear to God, it's the same mentality, okay? It is straight up. Oh my God. It is so bad, brother. It is so bad. It's crazy. Boat goes up though. You think about that. No hurricanes here in Texas. It's on the same ocean as Florida. Why? Texas is not a swing state. I'm done. I mean, dude, you can convince these people anything. Like, you can convince these people to do anything. Do you understand? You can convince them to vote for the Republican Party, that's for sure. You can convince them of anything. You can tell them that you don't need to subscribe at the top of the hour. You won't see an ad, and they'll believe you. And then they'll be like, why did I just see an ad at the top of the hour? But you should subscribe at the top of the hour. Because a 3-minute ad break is coming for you, even if it said 12:12. Make a wish. There's a rumor that went around after 9/11 that a guy fell out of the tower, landed at a door, and made his way to safety at the bottom so of surging the wreckage as it would fall. This was obviously not true, but it was told by someone who very much believed it. Stop doing these. You keep making my daughter cry every time you do this, brother. Okay, let's listen to Lieutenant Dan once again. I was peeing and you probably couldn't hear it because it was not loud enough, but here it is.
All right, Dan. Do that anew. Explain to them why your sign is stick out a Category 5, one of the worst hurricanes in Tampa history, out on a 20-foot sailboat.
Famously, boats are the safest, you know? When you're out on water and you get caught up in a storm, you're the safest. Famously.
In Tampa.
We're taking Charlie. We've lost Alpha.
God told me to come out here and get a boat.
Enemy securing Bravo. Okay,
and
friendly
everything
cruise
he's telling me over the last 2 days is I'm doing the right thing. He's got my back. I'm in good shape. I ain't sweating. We got set up the way we know what we're doing.
You're not going to ride this one out. You're going to die. I'm just letting you know. You're not riding this one out. You're not floating this one out. You're dying. This is just, there is no difference between what this guy is doing and just like taking a gun and just, you know, being like, oh yeah, I love playing around with this when it's loaded, and you know, I love putting it in and around my temple and pulling the trigger, see what happens, you know? Like, that's it. And the funniest part about it is that, like, the fact that he is on a boat makes it more likely that he is going to die. Okay? Maybe by some stroke of luck, you know, you wait it out, you have enough food in your attic or something, you don't get blown away, and the water levels don't reach you, and you have enough energy, and then first responders come and get you maybe in a couple days, okay? That's an unlikely scenario, but let's say that could happen. You being on this boat, you're definitely dead. Like, there's no 3 p.m. EST Milton update. I know we just went through this, but the NEC just put out an update, and I would like everyone to have the most accurate and updated information. Milton is a Cat 4 barely, with winds of 130 miles. With winds of 130 miles per hour and a minimum pressure of 948 millibars. The NHC is urging people to take tornado warning seriously and shelter if there is one in their area. Look at the tattoo on his stomach. That's what he thinks a tiger looks like. My man needs help. That's an interesting way to figure out that this man is not well.
And as long as the water gets too dry, then we'll be fine.
Will you be wearing a life jacket?
Hell no.
I mean, to be fair to him, I don't think a life jacket is saving him at that point anyway. So he might as well not, you know? Yeah, it's just life jacket gonna do, dude. What is a life jacket gonna do for him at that point? Explain how a floating boat will be affected by a storm surge. It is water. What do you think happens to boats when they're out sailing in the water and a storm occurs? Not even like a Category 3, Category 4 hurricane. Just a tropical storm. It literally floats. Storm surges can't affect floating things. The storm surge is not the only concern for him, and you're also wrong, because no expert boater is going to be able to navigate through the storm surge that is filled to the brim with debris with 130-mile winds, dude. What are you talking about? The boat does not float permanently, okay? It is going to capsize. He is going to die. It's I can't tell if it's a meme or not, or if we are just like, I bet 500 that he lives, so we'll see who's right then. Yeah, he is gonna live because apparently they forced him to evacuate. So you're not wrong. He is most likely going to live, not because he stayed on the boat, but because apparently, according to the mayor of Tampa, no, the mayor of Tampa said that they like forced him to evacuate.
You want to swear that if we
Laying on the same team.
can you swim with one leg or what?
Yeah, I can float like a
Right there, counter UAV.
damn. But swimming, I just go.
No, they didn't. That's fake. He's still on the boat. Oh my God, he's dead. He's dead. Okay, never mind.
So the plan's just to stick it out
Enemy
here?
has captured 2 objectives.
The water's gonna come in, it's gonna ride. If you're on land, it's gonna flood, you're risking drowning. I'm in a boat. The boat goes up with the water. So even if the boat goes up 100 feet in the air, I'm gonna be up 100 feet in the air with the water.
Yeah, the safest place in the world is the safest place in the world. What? He's been milkshake ducked? Oh wow. A crackhead who is about to die in the next 24 hours is not a good guy. Oh well. Oh me, oh my. I am so shocked. Lieutenant Dan is a digital creator who started GoFundMe 3 weeks ago. He has 4 names and was arrested for battering. Wait, what? Battering a law enforcement officer with a violin? He's already up to 20,000 and has accepted the mayor's offer for shelter. I hate grifters. Brian Enton. For everyone worried about Lieutenant Dan, I just talked to him. His real name is Joseph Malinowski. He says he's going to stay on a sailboat in the Tampa Bay.
Everybody's worried about you.
Who's worried about?
It's all over TikTok.
Across the country.
I'm gonna go live in a minute.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing?
Good. Pretty good. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Not much.
White Claw. You ever drink White Claws?
Yeah.
Yep,
I've had them.
A new White Claw.
Nice. How does it taste?
Who the hell drinks it for the taste?
It tastes like Storm Surge.
Speaking of storms, this Storm Ender. So the I don't know if you've had it. Is this your? Are you just?
Yeah. Hey, your mic or something's real staticky. I don't know if fun about that. It's kind of getting like some buzzing. Not yet.
Yeah.
Nope. Still kind of. Yeah. Well, maybe it'll get better.
I'm sorry. I mean, it was starting to pop. You. Or the day before, I can't remember. It was like, it was sounding like it was. They just need to fix this. By the time the next game comes out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, hopefully it'll improve.
Well, let me know if it gets. So there.
All right. Yep. Still here.
So you just, I literally just finished last
Nice.
It's none of it's too hard, but dude, Jack Volkstorm.
Stormender.
Dude. First of all, they shouldn't have named this thing the Storm. They should have named it like Streak Evaporator.
Streak Evaporator?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was just like, are UAVs in the air? It's just like you just poke it, it's like disappears. This thing's like
holy crap.
You know what I'm talking about. The Stormender destroys. It's like nothing.
Well, it takes a little bit, in regular mode for them. You have to hit it several times, but it will, it'll take them
I've
out.
only taken out UAVs and counter UAV. Counter UAV you can take out in one shot.
Okay.
Like a regular UAV, 2 shots. I think I took out Guardian. I don't remember. But when you unlock the mod, it's it's definitely close quarters. Like if you want to be like somebody. It'll take out multiple.
Cool. Yeah.
Sends them
forward to it.
So unlock Vampire Lady. Not her yet. It's a cheese skin. Banshee. Skin. If you're
You're talking about on the map, or?
I'm talking, well, the, you know how, Trick or Treat, like the operator skin. Blood Red Riding
okay. Hood. Oh, I see it. Yeah, I'm 3 to 4.
Oh, you're not done yet? Okay, alright.
No, not yet.
I mean, I think that's just picking
You're a featured operator skin to earn more candy per game.
So, Riding Hood. It's a fun skin.
Cool.
But the operator
that's
does
a good
not look. It's on the right side of the operators. I was like, which skin is this? I duty rocking it. I will anything.
Let's see. Well, I noticed I got to get some quick scope kills. I guess it doesn't matter. I can go anywhere. Yeah.
Just, well, if you want to get quick scope, some
all right.
I mean, just want to try.
My head in there.
God, happening in Florida right now.
Yeah, man. Like, I saw some simulation of what the storm surge at 6 feet looks like, and then 10 feet, and then 12 feet, then 15 feet. Holy shit. It was a really cool little
Is Tampa going to be
walk. Is that where it's making landfall, Tampa? I didn't follow.
Yeah, it's hitting
Tampa?
the west coast.
I didn't hear the latest.
Yeah, it's basically hitting.
What? Yeah, I knew it's the west coast, but they were saying it could wiggle around, so they weren't exactly where it was gonna slam in, but Sarasota or where?
I mean, I know Internet Today one host, Ricky. You know what I'm talking about?
You really broke up there. I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
hear what you said.
Internet Today. So, you know,
yeah.
No, Ricky. Right? Yeah, you just,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's his name. It's basically heading like straight toward. It's kind of
No shit.
shit. But they have quick up on
Team deathmatch. Eliminate the enemy. Leave none alive.
Under fire. Got you covered. Samtec's out.
I mean, they live in California, but his hometown, like where he grew up or whatever.
Yeah.
Take the ground. Visual on the target. On your six.
Hey.
There he was.
Alright, I'm behind you now.
Tossing Samtex. I got your six.
See that?
Oh, nice. Just pop, pop and gone.
Just shoots
Shit.
Sounded like you.
electricity.
Under fire.
Yeah. Sounded like you just popped a balloon.
Pop.
Goodbye.
Sounds a little more exciting and.
Enemy in the area.
Oh, nice.
Whooping ass. Grenade.
Mark 2, moving.
Shit. Oh. Guy who killed you, I couldn't even see him. He was like hiding in the couch there.
God damn it.
Probably still there. Yeah, he is. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Killed me again.
Wait, which couch? Where? Down there where you're at right now.
Right here. Right here.
Moving here.
You know, somebody else did. Threw a bomb, but
Multiple enemies here.
Couch potatoes get shot.
Under fire.
oh, jeez, come on. Yes.
Hostile UAV in the area.
I want candy.
Enemies here. Incoming.
Challenges. Grenade. Like,
Multiple threats here.
it's the fastest I ever got done. Challenge. I
Yeah,
started my
that
first
should be
game.
hard.
I started my first game just hit two. It was finished.
There they
I was
are.
like, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Target
Friendly
marked.
SAE on the
Request
way.
fire mission. Got you covered.
Nice when that happens.
I'm forced to use anything but a stim.
Under fire. Affirmative.
Store.
package in the AO. Mission time is half over.
How about
Maintain
that?
Taking rounds.
Oh shit! I mean, shit.
Enemy operator. Got you covered.
Friendly cluster mine planted.
Shit, there they are. Changing mag. Grenade, move!
Ah, so annoying.
Friendly cluster mine deployed.
Oops, sorry again.
There is a bunch of challenges, but I think it's farewell, last event, Modern Warfare 3. It's
Under fire! Shit, there they are. Oi, Wagner, check your fire!
The enemy is in disarray. Press the advantage. Friendly UAV online.
have you shot?
Changing mag.
Oh, no. Why? What happens?
Good work.
Okay, alright.
Anything can happen.
Maybe something good, maybe something bad.
Actually, only for this W3. When this for the second time.
Alright.
We're taking Alpha. Domination.
See me! Taking rounds.
We've secured the lead. We're taking Bravo. Charlie.
Check your fire!
Control Bravo. We're losing Alpha.
Fuck. That spear is a bitch.
Sledgehammers.
We're taking Charlie. Enemies securing Bravo. Enemies taking Alpha.
Oh, I see. I just got a little scare guy. I shot the pumpkin.
Get it back.
A little. Is it always the burlap head guy?
It's the same.
We're taking Bravo.
Oh shit! Come on. It's trying to get a kill here. Really? Jesus.
On your six.
Bravo. The enemy has captured two objectives. Get them. We're losing Alpha.
Enemy in the area.
Charlie secure.
Taking rounds.
Enemy is taking Alpha. Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back. Securing objective Alpha.
It's not my favorite melee weapon, but I just
Oi, wanker! Check your
We're
fire.
taking Alpha.
Under fire.
Securing objective Bravo. Securing objective Alpha.
Need a medic here.
Alpha secure. We're taking Bravo. Securing Alpha. Objective Bravo. The enemy took Charlie. We're taking Bravo.
Alright, what do we got? We got a cruise missile coming down.
Here we go.
Rain and some fire. How about... Oh, I hit the roof. I hit two guys. I don't know.
Chase man, look out.
We've secured the lead.
Took what you did.
I'm using a sniper to get those quick scopes.
Securing objective.
Skeeter out.
Friendly mortar deployed. We control two objectives. We're taking Charlie.
I got mine. Oh yeah, I get 10 more kills while it's fighting.
Taking rounds.
Oh, come on.
Enemies taking Alpha. We'll hold all objectives.
Drop their sniper. Under fire.
Sending back. Friendly mosquito active.
Skeeter out.
Taking Bravo.
Deploying mosquito.
Securing objective Alpha.
Visual.
I wish when you had a Skeeter more.
Loading. Which team are you on?
What do we got? Chong. Guy Chong. Oh.
Taking rounds.
Friendly cruise missile deployed.
Dude. Oh, come on.
Taking
Oi,
Alpha.
wanker! Check your fire. Mop.
Enemies securing Bravo.
Enemy fight.
Which team are you on?
Securing objective Alpha. Taking Bravo. We're taking Alpha.
Tossing Samtex. Under fire.
This guy. He's getting shot like from behind, and I keep like trying to get shot. shot from behind again.
Samtech out. Taking round.
Mosquito active. Enemies securing Bravo.
Visual on the target.
Get off your belly, Tommy Chong. Get out.
Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back.
Oh, really, dude? Come on. Yeah, guys.
Control Bravo.
Got that one.
Fire. Oh, oi, whacker. Loading fresh back to kick in our system.
Bravo.
Samtech down. All patched up.
Control 2 objectives. Enemies securing Bravo.
Grenade, move.
Securing objective Alpha.
On your six. Taking round. Smoking mag. Enemy in the area. Dusted him.
That was a mortar strike.
A spawn trap position.
Friendly mosquito deployed.
Got your cover.
Oh, man. Yeah, they were all coming out by that corner by A. There was like 3 guys lined up, and I had a fucking shot on them, and I didn't fucking get any of them. God. Here's some revenge.
Loading fresh mag. Gotta stand it bleeding.
Yeah, I see.
All objectives are under our control. Give her losing Alpha.
Tossing Samtex.
I mean, I just keep throwing syntax down. Got about like 4 kills in the show.
I've been getting a lot of double kills, like, you know, shooting 2 people at once. Those are so fun.
Oh, the collaterals?
Yeah, yeah.
Objective Charlie is coming.
Why are you firing at me, dude?
Scared.
Deploying mosquito.
Right.
Oh yeah, I think I got the last kill, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see.
Here we go.
Yep, stabby.
Oh, get quick scope, bitch.
Good night.
That game. Were killed than me, and I had 1 less death. Like that.
All right.
Oh shit! It's 8. Got time for another one?
Yeah. There was.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I just want to look at my daily challenge.
I can back up.
Yes. Sweet. All right. Shotgun secondary.
Second. 5 times. Just like Krampus in town. Anyway.
Okay, I'm good.
Good. My favorite part of bosses.
Yeah, White Claws aren't bad.
I mean, it's
They're-
the fact that they're just the fact that they're located. And apparently for like a long later, like
You're clawing it.
on it back.
That's ridiculous. They were into it because it had the word white in it, probably, I'm guessing.
That's, you know what? I didn't even make that. That is probably absolutely.
That's ridiculous, but
Makes sense. I feel like it's
look, they even made a drink for us. Just like, I wish we would have thought of the name White Claw, because that would have been a really cool gang name.
Yeah, White Claw is a better game name than Proud Boy.
Yeah, right. It is. Proud Boys.
Changing mag!
It sounds stupid.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it sounds like they're a bunch of it's like that.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you're proud. That's nice. Glad you're proud.
Harder than.
Like, being proud isn't, like, really going for good.
I got you 6.
Like,
I'm proud.
Proud is just code for I hate.
Yeah, it's real, asshole-ish. Describe yourself in one word. Proud. Oh, that's nice.
Fresh one!
Hostile Mosquito is online.
What's the guy's name who does the song?
That proud to be an American? I don't know.
Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood, yeah.
His name. Trump has been. Just like singing that
Yeah,
song.
that's right. I saw that once, yeah. Oh, and I think he got yanked off the stage once because he was talking too long and Trump was getting really annoyed with him, so they just like... Yeah, there's like footage of them, like, they're like, and announcing the President of the United States, and they just like totally, even though he was still rambling on, they
Like,
kind of
shut
cut
up, you
his
fucking
mic.
whack job. That's, I mean, David Cross joking about that. Literally back in like. He had a joke where, because it was busted out at 9/11, but it was actually written. It was actually written originally, all for it. When it wasn't that big of a hit, but when 9/11 came out, 9/11 remix.
Wow. Yeah, it wasn't really on my radar, but they play it at the fireworks every year, and it's one of the songs that I cannot stand.
It's written by Psycho. Song Psycho. It's in there. It's free.
Reloading.
Yeah, regionally I kind of have a different view, but at the fireworks they play that song and a bunch of other old American standard crap, and I find it aggravating, really. I don't like music to be played during fireworks displays. It bugs me. Where I grew up, we used to go to the Lombard fireworks, and it was just kind of like solemn and cool, and you just listen to the shit explode and you take it all in, and it didn't seem like, it just seems contrived to have like these like pro-America songs playing. I don't know why, just that's how I feel about it. I'm sure people love it, but why they do it, but I hate it.
I mean, that's mosquito action. Actually,
All deployed.
live.
We've taken the lead.
Yeah, the ones that I grew up going to never had it, that I remember. Unless they might have played it at the very end during the finale or something. That probably happened.
I mean, I hate to admit this, but I don't hate Stars and Stripes Forever. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah. Okay, right.
That's pretty good
you know
during
what, I don't
fireworks.
really, the songs. I don't think I have anything personal against the songs. It's just that the way that they're trying to make me have like certain emotions while I watch fireworks. I don't know. I feel a lot more. I don't know. I feel more American when I'm just like watching like shit explode in the sky and kind of feeling it. Not like having like some soundtrack trying to dictate how I respond emotionally to it. I don't know.
You're gonna get all teared up thinking Great Nation, Stars and Bars.
Well, I want to think my own thoughts.
But why? You have thoughts ready for
serving up hot.
It's easy peasy.
We're serving up thoughts.
Just like,
yeah. I never thought of it that way. Life is so much easier now.
it's kind of die.
There's a Dead Kennedys song that's so much like that. They're like, life can be good, life can be beautiful.
Taking effective fire.
You can just like not think and be happy all the time and having fun.
Swapping mags.
Yeah, I thought I heard. Jeez, I don't think ever, because they are all like they'll hate each other. Jello Biafra screwed the other guys out of a ton of money and got sued by him, I think successfully.
Snipers down.
Which is just a shame. Yeah.
We've secured the lead. Friendly Overwatch helo inbound.
Passed over.
Yeah. Well, punks used to always make fun of, old stinking hippies and stuff, and the punks did not age very well. In fact, they probably aged worse than the hippies.
And they come off as like super. So now.
Right. I'm a little bit kind of over my reverence of punk. It was a time and a place, and it was great, and they definitely reinvented rock and roll for a while. And
I mean, punk rock. I mean, I will always admiration for punk rock because it did like drastically, at least drastically. We didn't really,
oh yeah.
I mean, we had bands not like that. And me personally, like,
yeah,
if it wasn't for punk, there wouldn't be any scream bands. That's pretty much. Sure, give me something like fire, scream.
Never thought of that.
Now we're even.
Like even like the idea of like a band playing a shitty club, some guy like that was.
Yeah, they weren't in it for the money.
Watch it! Switch mags!
They were in it for the fun and the anger release.
Or kids.
30 seconds remain.
Just make a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
Friendly cruise missile approaching.
Well, it was like somebody said, like all these bands like Fleetwood Mac and Steely Dan, they're all like overblown, overstuffed, and plus they were all like, super accomplished musicians, which was frustrating because it was just like elitist in that sense, because it felt like the bar was so high. If you couldn't play, make Pink Floyd songs or something, then you didn't have a chance, and they were just like, fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty. I think Jethro Tull can be blamed single-handedly for the birth of punk rock. This seems to be like the one. Yeah, we're sick of this arena shit. We're sick of shit like Jethro Tull.
Yeah. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Emerson, Lake and Palmer was a big one too, and Fleetwood Mac.
Like people were just, they're like 70s, like arena show, like post 60s shit. Like that was just whatever. Music's like that. It'll always be like that. All right.
True.
I better.
Cool, man.
Hit the old hay.
All right.
The weeks are starting to fly as fast as the weekends, which is really unsettling. Like 70. I know it. But
yeah, watch out.
Weekend's coming. What you got going on this week? This isn't Saturday. This isn't Chicago Street. It's the weekend, right?
Right. This Saturday we have my Ecuadorian, guy who used to live in Ecuador. His girlfriend is turning 50, and she's having some party in the city, actually, which is going to be like, oh boy.
Really?
It's
Where in
going
the
to be
city?
like what's the name of the? Never heard of it. Let's see. Called The Vault on Fulton.
The Vault. That must be that whole Fulton area.
Yeah.
Trying to make it. And in my opinion, I just say stop trying to.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing Saturday, but it's like how getting down there is going to be a pain in the ass, but I'm going to do it.
Sure. I mean, I'm glad I'm. I'd say, Belgian. Trying to points. Screw that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you did the right thing. It's easy for you to do that. It would be awesome.
Less stress, more fun.
Yep, totally.
Well, hey, but excellent.
Okay, have a good night. Later.
Later.